If for some of you who just came in, if you're not sitting in front of a paper, please move to a seat that does. And if you have to leave early, which I hope you don't, please fill out those papers before you leave. Our next presenter is Molly Watson, and her talk is titled, Who Am I? Give it up for Molly, guys.
Hey guys, thanks for all coming. But who am I? What a great conversation talk, right? You have no idea what I'm going to talk about. So let's just get some disclaimers out of the way. I'm adopted, so this is going to be a presentation on Chinese adoption. That's what I did my capstone on. Is whether or not I thought, well, if I'm adopted and I'm studying international relations, there has to be some sort of correlation, and that maybe one day Chinese adoptees are going to play a role in politics. Like, maybe, who knows? I don't know. So I did this topic. And the reason why I chose this title is because what happened in the end was that my capstone was not purely about the politics. I didn't get down and dirty and find some crazy law that said Chinese adoptees can't become president. That's all obviously wrong. We all know that. Yeah, if you don't know that, I can't become the president of the United States. So, yeah, I'm not much sharing. So yeah, there were these white men back in 1700s who prevented that from happening. They didn't know I was coming to this country. But, yeah, so in the end, this capstone became part of social studies. It became humanities. It became an IS, and I'm sorry, ES. We kind of got forgotten somewhere in the way. So, your capstone doesn't have to be just IS. It doesn't have to be just humanities. Please get interchangeable as much as possible with your capstone. It will be so much more enjoyable. So, back to this topic. I'm an adoptee. So, I was adopted in 1995, and that was the year highest adoptees rates were happening in China. Adoptees were coming from China to Canada to England, all over the place. We were at this time where Chinese adoptees were leaving China higher at a rate than it was in any other country. It was higher than Russia, it was higher than Korea, it was higher than Vietnam. So for me, that was a big deal because I was like, okay, well, I was born in 1995, and that was the year that most adoptees were leaving China. So where are they? What are they doing with their lives? They're 21, I'm 21, so are they going to go into politics? Are they going to be engineers? Or are they doing anything with their lives? And so that's why I was like, this is really important to me that I find out, could they play a role in international politics in regards to the Chinese and American relations? Because as we all know, America and China, we're not going to do so hot, maybe for the next 4 or 8 years if we're unlucky. I'm just saying that's my hypothesis. Again, all of this stuff is my hypothesis, my theories, things I came up with. And if you want to actually read the other nitty-gritty stuff, you can, I'll email it to you. But, so it came down to the desire, the interest, and will of an adoptee if they want to get involved. Because we cannot tell other Chinese adoptees who have, especially if they have no political interest, to go get involved in politics and then screw it up for the rest of us, right? That just wouldn't do anyone any good. So, I lost them all. But, so desire and identity isn't, so then a creative spark. I was like, this is perfect. I can showcase it and hopefully make a good point. So identity, and I think this is really something that I came up with on my capstone, completely organic as I was doing research. It was like, who am I? It goes back to this, who am I? Am I a Chinese adoptee? Am I Chinese American? Am I American who's Chinese? What am I? And so it came down to it that I at least narrowed it down to that I'm not Chinese American per se. And you know what I mean? But Molly, you're Chinese and you're American, therefore conjoined words, you're Chinese American. And I'm like, yeah, but no, here's my reason why I disagree with that point. So when we think about American history, the Chinese immigrants have come from China for various amounts of time over American history and for different reasons. And a lot of it is diaspora. And I think for Chinese adoptees, we're free of the diaspora. We're not necessarily immigrants in the same way that other Chinese Americans have came to America. we don't share that history of racism necessarily. Yes, we do experience cases of racism, but it's not necessarily directed at our heritage and our families. Because if you think about it, I was raised by a white American. My mom is from Texas. But, you know, I don't have a Chinese American upbringing. I don't have that history. I don't have that ingrained in my culture. My mom, yes, she taught me that I was Chinese, and yes, I even did kinship. I went on a tourist thing. I went back to China twice. But that doesn't necessarily make me a Chinese American. It does not make me necessarily feel more Chinese. My mom was white. I was raised in California in a white neighborhood, white community. Yes, I had friends who were Chinese Americans and who were all different sort of races and cultures, but, you know, like, it came down to the bottom line that I was American and I was not raised Chinese American. And that was a huge point about identity in this capstone. And so, some may disagree with that, but I think, you know, that's just something to consider as we move forward into this talk and into this discussion about whether Chinese adoptees do play a role in politics and whether they do or will play a role in politics. And so what happens is that now we've sort of aligned ourselves. There's a bias kind of going on, obviously. I've been saying this over and over. I'm American, and I'm also Chinese. But the problem is that bias can get a lot even trickier when you're an adoptee. Because when you think about it, you might have not such a great relationship with the country you came from. Unfortunately, not everyone, you know, looks back in China and is like, oh, what a magical, wonderful, oriental country. I gotta go. No, there's actually a ton of adoptees, not just from China, international adoptees from all over who hold great contempt or dislike from the countries they came from for whatever reasons why. You know, some of them, I was lucky. I left when I was 3 months old, but some people stay there for years and are stuck in the orphanage systems and foster systems in those countries, and they do not take care of you. And I mean, you know, orphanage systems are rough enough, but I mean, if we get into foster care, and even foster care system in the United States, it is not a pretty picture for anyone to be in. And so, when we hold this bias, that affects whether or not the desire of the adoptee wants to get involved in the politics or not. And obviously, if you're lacking in that desire, then there's no reason for you to get involved. Or, I mean, you know, why should you? Just because you're a Chinese adoptee? Well, you know, then we're just enforcing them an idea on them of who they are and obstructing their self-identity. And that's, you know, obviously the opposite of what we want to be doing. And when we continue, also would be status. And when we think about status, we think about racism. Yes, I said before, Chinese adoptees still on occasion, more so than other, in my experience, a little bit less, I think because I was raised in California. We do still experience racism. And it's, you know, it goes for anybody, person of color. Racism kind of does exist. It's not an archaic term. So this brings me to the point where, you know, I was raised by a white family, 2 white moms, and one of them's deceased, but a white family, nice middle class thing. But that's not the same for all Chinese Americans. And again, I think, you know, when we think about racism, it is a status thing. And that affects whether or not, you know, how much influence and impact you can play into politics and such. And so, you know, then finally I'm concluding with, like, the lack of interest to go get involved in politics, obviously, there. I mean, there's also a lack of interest from both countries, I think, from China and the United States. I think China a little bit more. They have some things called kinship tourism, which a lot of anthropologists are looking into now, and basically the Chinese government subsidized a lot of trips for adoptees to come back and explore, go to the Great Wall, go to the orphanages they came from. The White Swan Hotel is a really big one, and where I'm from, Guangzhou, it's like a 5-star hotel. It's very luxurious, and you know the white parents would come there, and that's where they would meet their babies for the first time. And so I think, you know, lack of even being able to speak a language makes a big difference whether or not you want to be involved or can even participate in it. And so, yeah, in the end, it just came down to whether or not an adoptee wants to speak up for themselves. And even if you're not a Chinese adoptee, I think it's important for international adoptees to come and speak up. And form ties, but again, we can't say you must do it. It is your duty to go get involved. It needs to be a part of your choice, and it comes down to your identity too, and your desire, and your will and capability to be involved and to get involved. And hopefully, as I said, will Chinese adoptees get involved? Are they going to play a role? The answer is, I don't know. The answer my caption on is, I don't know. There's really no way to say yes or no because there's no opportunities for it right now. And it's a bit of a shame, but that's not the end. That's not how it ends. There's still a chance for it to be done. And I think we just kind of have to wait it out. And I think, people of color, adoptees, everyone, it's kind of a waiting game, unfortunately. But I think adoptees will have a time when we'll be able to come forward and speak a little bit more about our rights and how we wish to be treated in the future. So thank you very much.